What it do, my people? I'm Devine, and in this video, I'm going to be reacting to an NYC gang that targets 49 Mini-Marts, stealing every ATM. Now, the content creator goes by the name of Cash Jordan. If you want to see the video in its full without my reaction, I'll leave the link to his channel down below. I'm also going to be sharing a story about how I was arrested and convicted for these same crimes, stealing ATM machines. The only thing is, the way we got the cash out the machines was a little bit different. So stick around to the end at the reaction and find out how that all went down. I'm Devine. Thank you for pulling up.
SS and Co TV.
Pretty clear this wasn't what they meant when they offered a fast cash withdrawal option. Watch as these masked men grab this ATM and haul it off, just the two of them. Cops say they've stolen 49 ATMs around the city.
So, thieves have stolen nearly 50 ATM machines just like this one right here from small businesses over the last few months. But as troubling as an unsolved robbery pattern of this magnitude is, it gets even worse once you realize the city's efforts to stop crime underground in our subways are removing much-needed police from our streets, making them even more dangerous. And since the thieves wear masks and always flee the scene in stolen vehicles, the police who are supposed to catch them, they don't even know who it is they're looking for.
The NYPD has just released new video to help find those involved in a burglary spree across 3 boroughs. Take a look at the video of the masked men that police are hoping to find. Police say they're behind 40 ATM burglaries in Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx.
Very fast.
I was surprised at how, I never seen in the past like that.
He says the 2 men walked into the A&H gently, picked up the ATM, walked out, and got into a van. His co-worker, too stunned to even act.
And after that, he called cops. And the cops, he's coming after when he left.
The owner says the suspects clipped the bolt outside, lifted the shutter, then smashed through this glass door and headed straight for the ATM. They didn't touch anything else.
And this is where the ATM was. Harjit tells me he will not be getting a new one as he worries it could get stolen again.
Investigators say the 2 men, plus a getaway driver and a stolen vehicle, stole nearly 50 ATMs in the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens.
So, if you know who these crooks are, you can make $5,000 right now by turning them in. However, what nobody's talking about is the reason this crime wave isn't going to stop anytime soon is because the police who could stop it, the city's taking them off the streets and putting them underground to fight crime in the subway. And our leaders have decided New York's rotting public transit network is worth more than the small businesses serving communities all over town. Of course, nobody running our city will admit this, but after defunding and persecuting our police force, we've got the fewest cops keeping us safe since the 1990s. And by removing police from our streets and sending them somewhere else, we're creating the perfect opportunity for criminals to steal whatever they want, because there's even less police around to stop them. And what most people have already forgotten is that before extra officers were sent into our subways, they'd been previously tasked with securing Central Park and Times Square to end a surge of snatch and grab robberies that had taken over those iconic locations. And although the police were eventually victorious, police data reveals that crime may have actually just migrated to other neighborhoods, with robberies surging 400% just outside the park. Which brings us to the real reason why this crime wave targeting small businesses and any business that's got an ATM in it is going to continue long into the future. The city has a hierarchy when it comes to solving crime, and until they solve crime in the subway, there's not going to be anybody available to solve crime in places like this. But the problem is, every week we've got news stories about new horrible incidents taking place underground, which seem to be happening in spite of extra National Guard troops and extra police being deployed on a regular basis. And this is because our laws do not lock up criminals who rob stores or assault others. Instead, everyone who does that seems to get released, undermining the hard work of our meager law enforcement resources. And the sad reality is, no matter how dedicated and well-trained our police are, they're fighting an uphill battle against a legal system that is rigged in favor of the bad guys, who, as you're about to see, are taking this opportunity to prey upon small businesses like this one right behind me. So here we are, 8th Avenue in Midtown by 42nd Street, where you've got tons of little businesses, cafes, shops, coffee houses, pizza parlors, and all of them have ATM machines. And that's bad news, because it makes them a target for criminals who seem to be on an unstoppable spree of ATM heists, which has been going on for months. And these criminals, they're literally just walking in the front door of these places, unbolting the ATM and taking it out with them. And not only are these criminals afraid of absolutely nothing, they stand to make thousands of dollars every single time they strike.
It's pretty clear this wasn't what they meant when they offered a fast cash withdrawal option. Watch as these masked men grab this ATM out of a Queens deli and haul it off, just the two of them. Cops say they've stolen 49 ATMs around the city. 49!
Yeah, very fast. I'm surprised.
I'm sorry, but if criminals can just walk into a little business like that one right there, or this one over here across the street, make a beeline for the ATM and then haul it off in 7 minutes, do it 50 times, and there are no consequences, that proves this city has a serious crime problem. And it's not that our police aren't smart enough to find these guys. Of course they are. The problem is we just don't have enough police to get there quickly and catch them when they're doing something wrong. And the worst part about this is we don't even know who these people are. And with so many businesses with ATMs inside of them, their next target could literally be anywhere. And here's what they're looking for. They go into a store like this. They try to figure out how close the ATM is to the front door. This one's pretty far away. Here it is, all the way over here, hiding in the back. Is it bolted to the floor? But this one at this 7-Eleven, this one's probably safe. Look, it's so far away, and then the door is way over there. They're not gonna make it. But not every business has as big of a footprint as this place does, and some of them will have their ATM right by the front door because that's where the register is. And although it's very convenient for customers, it's also very convenient for criminals if they're trying to steal the ATM when the business is open and the front door is unlocked. But as you're about to see, even when these businesses are closed and they've got their security gates down, that still does not deter these guys. And apparently it only adds a couple of extra minutes to the heist when they've got to go through something like that.
They say the store was closed when it happened. They were home asleep. When the alarm went off, they checked the live stream from the security camera. The thieves were already gone. Police were already on scene. The owner says the suspects clipped the bolt outside, lifted the shutter, then smashed through this glass door and headed straight for the ATM. They didn't touch anything else. They were in and out within 6 to 7 minutes.
So this most recent heist, it apparently took 7 minutes, and it happened at a time when the business was closed. That means they went right in through the front door, right through all the store security, took that ATM, and were out before any law enforcement response could even happen. And if any business can be robbed in 10 minutes or less, and the crooks can make off with thousands of dollars at any time of day, this is the kind of crime wave that's not going to go away until everyone's arrested or there's nothing left to steal. And of course, the security cameras are useless. These guys are covered up. They've got masks. They can't be identified. And what that means is the only way to catch them is going to be to pull them over for a traffic violation when they're in their stolen vehicle with a stolen ATM inside. But the real problem is this city has no intention of giving store owners extra rights to protect their property, which means even if they catch the criminals that are involved in this particular crime wave, there will probably be others, and they will find places just like this and go after them. The temptation's just too great, and the chances of getting caught aren't very good. These guys have gotten away with it 49 times so far.
The Sings Deli was hit on December 23rd. Cops say the spree started on September 19th. Investigators say the two men, plus a getaway driver and a stolen vehicle, stole nearly 50 ATMs in the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. The Sings have owned this business for decades. It's the first time they've been burglarized.
So probably the most disturbing thing about this crime wave is that many of these businesses, this is the first time they've ever been robbed like this. They've never had this problem before. They're totally defenseless and totally unprepared. But what we do know about these criminals so far is that it's a team of 3 people. You've got the 2 thieves, because it takes 2 of these guys to cart away one of these ATMs, and it's the getaway driver who's always driving a stolen vehicle. Of course it's a stolen vehicle. They wouldn't use their own car to risk getting traced and captured with their stolen ATMs. No way. And think about all of the crimes that have to simultaneously be easy to commit here in New York for this to happen. You got to be able to steal cars, you got to be able to break into businesses, you got to be able to take stolen property somewhere and hide it, and you got to be able to do all of it without getting caught. And it's so simple why this is happening. There's nobody around to catch the criminals. The police have been redeployed. And as we experience crime waves in our subways or in places like Central Park or Times Square, the rest of the city is going to continue to be unmonitored, creating opportunities for the very people who we say we're worried about and who we say we want to stop. And the problems we're witnessing now are all happening because as we redeploy police to a part of town like the subway, the criminals that were there, they redeploy themselves to the places the police just left. So here we are in the New York City subway, and as you look around, you're gonna notice a couple of things. First, you're gonna notice that it's filthy down here. Second, you're gonna notice that there's a lot of crime, and when you see the police and the law enforcement response to that crime, you're gonna realize that it's not working. And that's a problem because until crime gets solved down here, crime up on the streets is gonna remain uncontested.
In October of last year, Pix 11 News reported on a similar robbery pattern by two suspects targeting these money machines in 20 businesses across Brooklyn and Manhattan. The NYPD confirming these two robbery patterns are not related.
So I get that law enforcement is saying that these crime patterns of ATM robberies might be unrelated to each other because maybe the criminals are not related to each other, maybe they're not part of the same gang, but both of these are definitely related because of the absence of law enforcement. And we know this because all the law enforcement you see down in the subways, that's taking away from law enforcement above ground. And the same thing happened just a few months ago. Look at this, when police were sent into Central Park, which you see there in the center, robberies were up 400% on the outside of the park. That's absolutely nuts. That's why you've got people stealing cars. That's why you've got people robbing ATMs and vandalizing businesses. There's no one protecting them. And this means law enforcement in New York is essentially playing whack-a-mole. Wherever the crime pops up, they gotta go there, then it pops up somewhere else, and oh, they gotta go there now. And when you look at how dangerous, disgusting, and lawless the subway is, you'll figure out pretty quick that the police we have, all of our resources, they can't stop the crime down there, which means crime up here on the streets is going to keep going for a very long time. And it's all because we've got a justice system that sees these criminals as victims of something and likes to release them after they do anything wrong. That's why you have so many repeat offenders. That's why you've got so many people who are now at the level where they can steal an entire ATM. That took practice. They didn't get that way by accident. Our city and our lax justice system not only gives these criminals the opportunity to do more that's wrong, it also trains them and hardens them. And this has made every progressive non-solution to crime totally worthless. You can install as many cameras as you want. The thieves don't care. Security gates, security guards, none of that's going to matter because those people are going to be the ones in trouble if a thief gets taken down and gets injured, leaving these businesses with only one way to stop and deter these criminals once and for all.
First broke two outside security cameras before smashing down the front door to forcibly remove the ATM. And this is where the ATM was. Harjit tells me he will not be getting a new one as he worries it could get stolen again. We are too much worried here.
So the guys at this deli, they figured out what to do. Get rid of the ATM, but the problem with that is the ATM is there to help customers who want to use cash. And you know what? These businesses, they could stop all the crime in the world if they just stopped doing things that benefited their customers, but then they'd be out of business. But that's how things work now. Go into any store in the city, you're gonna see the aisles of locked up shampoo, lotion, all the plexiglass stopping criminals from stealing, yes, but also stopping customers from shopping. That's what this stuff does. All because our legal system is not able to stop crime. So what do we have to do? We've got to lower everyone's quality of life by degrading the in-store experience, all because criminals are allowed to do whatever they want. And yes, if you're willing to remove everything the criminals steal from your store, they won't come in anymore. But neither will the people you need to buy stuff and keep your doors open. But notice which businesses are not having their ATMs robbed. Those would be banks. Not only are their ATMs better secured and non-removable, robbing a bank is a federal offense. And that's going to come with federal consequences, which are much worse than whatever is going to happen to the people who eventually get caught robbing these delis and these bodegas. But now the question is, how long is this ATM crime wave going to go on? What are they going to hit? 50, 60, 70 ATMs? What's the final number going to be before the police make an arrest?
Trains are just a little bit of a disaster right now, I feel. There's not a lot of safety precautions.
To quash such concerns, the governor used her statewide address to debut a plan to scale up the police presence on the subway system. Hochul says she plans to work with Mayor.
So this ATM crime wave, it's not even on the radar. Our leaders are laser focused on crime in the subway because we don't have enough police, and the most people are affected by crime underground right now. And you know what's going to happen? Our leaders are just going to up the numbers of law enforcement in the subway to a point where criminals are so likely to get arrested and have their afternoon wasted getting released from jail that they just give up and decide to commit crimes somewhere else, at which point there will be a victory lap. The subway will be safe. We accomplished our mission. Meanwhile, the criminals are on a new mission elsewhere in the city above ground committing the same types of crime. We haven't done anything. We've just redistributed our crime to somewhere else. And there will be a few weeks before the general public notices that there is danger somewhere else before the news picks up on it. And during that time, our leaders will tout their many successes and talk about how they brought crime down to levels never before seen, and they're great and we should vote for them. But even though the governor and the mayor might be held responsible for crime in our city, it's not their fault that we have it. They did not create the legal system that allows people with 87 prior arrests to walk the streets until they get arrested for the 88th time. And electing someone else isn't going to magically change destructive laws and policies that allow criminals to do whatever they want in this town. That's the real problem that we've got here. We're going to have to pass a whole new slew of laws, which might require an entire new state legislature and city council. New York is going to have to start from scratch. They're going to have to bring in all new people who are willing to vote for stuff, pass stuff, and sign stuff that's actually going to get a handle on our crime problems. Because as most of you are already well aware, the solution to crime is to put criminals behind bars. We're just not doing that. And you've got to wonder to yourself, how does a criminal learn how to steal 50 ATMs without getting caught? How many other crimes did they commit that were much smaller than an ATM heist that helped them practice and interact with law enforcement to get better at living the life of a criminal who steals things? What do you think about that? Are New York City's soft on crime laws that are meant to deter future criminal activity having the opposite effect? Are they training and hardening criminals? And are these laws a bad thing? Are they a net negative for society? And should there be consequences for people before they get to a level of being able to steal 49, 50 ATMs without getting caught? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.
How I met these guys that eventually I got into the ATM machine robberies with was I had a spot on Fulton and Skank. If anybody's ever visited there, they already know how we had it moving back then, 24 hours. So the three of them come this one late night, and my spot, the way I used to have it, I used to have all of the lights in the front out. So when I open the door and you come in, it's pitch black. You would never know once I opened that door who was behind there, who was visiting me or who was there holding the spot down with me. As I opened the door to let the guys in, only one came in. His name was Green Eyes. Now, mind you, it's pitch black. And I'm asking him, what is it, that he trying to cop? And he's asking me, what you got? As if, let me know everything that you got. So for a second, I'm like, what, this nigga trying to rob me? It's about to go down. So I said to him, what you mean what I got? What you want? And he said, look, Sean, and pulled out 2 handfuls of money out of his pockets. He like, Sean, whatever you got, I want to buy it all right now. I'm like, my nigga. So he takes me outside. They got a brand new, it's 3 of them. Only 2 of these guys indulged in the coke. They got a brand new Escalade outside. Rims, TVs, it's looking like Manhattan out there. They got the block lit up. Sounds all loud, like my dudes was doing their thing. So I told them, yo, Green, whatever y'all doing, when y'all need help, come and get me. That night, he didn't let me know what it was that they was doing. I'm sure you can understand why. But then one day, he did come. I had a knock at the door, and it was Green Eyes. And he said to me, Shine, remember when you said that you would come with us if I needed your help? And I said, yeah, my nigga, what's up? Let's get to it. And I used to live downtown Brooklyn at Fort Greene. Salute to anybody out in Fort Greene. So I tell him there's a store that I used to frequent when I was a kid. And they have an ATM and a roof. So we drive down there, all of us get in. Now, the deal of me working with these guys was that I would never go in. I don't hop in and out of roofs. Like, I got a spot going 24 hours. I really didn't need to really indulge in this activity with these guys, but at that time, I was cursed with greed. I was greedy. I had a spot going 24 hours. Just bought a brand new truck. Got my apartment, but greed. And wanting to help as many people at that time, because I had a lot of people on my team. Wanting to help as many people on my team as I could. So the first night we go out, I take them to the bodega that I used to frequent when I was a kid, and they got it. Now, my position was to sit in the car. Back then, they had the Nextel chirps. So if I seen anybody coming past, because how we got the money out the ATM wasn't like these guys. They go in, take the whole ATM out. We would go in and open the ATM up. Crowbars, all types of burglary tools, whatever we need to crack that thing open. So as I was saying before, my position was to sit in the car. We had Nextel chirps at that time. Anybody I see walking down a block, I would alert them due to the noise. Sometimes they get real noisy. It sound like gunshots going off in there, them trying to get in the ATM. Most ATMs are like vending machines. Once you open the front cover, there's a safe down in there. Once you open the safe or pry the top of the safe open enough to where you can stick your hand down in there and get all of the money, once you've done that, then you can move on to your next caper. Sometimes we would get 2 in a night. And then it would be nights where we didn't have anything planned, or what we had planned wasn't a go. So we had to move on to something else. And some nights we would get thirsty because our thing was to not go home unless we got an ATM. That was the goal. We not leaving until we get something. This particular time that we got caught, because we did several. Let me go back to the bodega that we did when I was a kid. They took all of the scratch-offs. I'm talking about stacks of scratch-offs. Lottery scratch-offs. Stacks of them. The next morning, I'm telling them, yo, listen, I got all these stacks of scratch-offs at my house. They like, yo, Shine, get rid of them shits. Or, yo, that you on your own with those. You know what I'm saying? If you get jammed up, you on your own. I'm like, say no more. Me and my whole family about to bust these shits, and I have my whole family and my lady all throughout the house scratching off. We going all through East New York. And mind you, this was over 15 years ago. Not only are the statute of limitations up, but I served my time for these crimes. I would have my whole family scratching off scratch-offs. I had that silver shit all through my house, all over the floor, everywhere. And my family would load up in the car, and we would go to different stores that didn't have cameras and cash in the lottery winnings. Now, if the store had took one of the lottery tickets off the book, then they couldn't report it. The next day, when they went in and they seen that they were robbed, they reported some of the scratch-offs. So if it was a brand new book that was in a plastic and they hadn't took one off, they reported it stolen. But for all the ones that they had took off, cha-ching, we was running it up all through East New York, cashing in those scratch-offs. Now the one that got us jammed up was out in Queens. We hadn't planned or anything. It was an impulsive job. We went, I'm staking out, they go in, it's another guy. At that night, it was 4 of us. 2 stay in the car, 1 guy's the driver, which was me, and another guy just in case they needed help prying open the ATM. So me and this guy, we in the car, got the music playing, we smoking, peeping out the scenery, making sure police or nobody walked past and could hear what was going on inside the restaurant. This guy is getting antsy on the side of me. He want to go inside. So I tell him they got it. If they need your help, they'll call us and let us know. I'm seeing him looking back at the store. He's so thirsty. I'm like, listen, man, go ahead. But take this and cover your hands with it. I gave him some rags that I used to wipe down my truck with. And that's what he left inside the store. As they were opening the ATM, I seen, mind you, we were there for about 4 hours, just staking out the place. They in there getting to work. And in the mix of that, a guy goes to the front of the business and he's attempting to open the locks and raise up the gate. I hit them on the chirps, get out of there. Somebody's at the gate, get out of there. Somebody's at the gate, get out of there. I roll around the back of the restaurant and these guys come flying out. Some guys with no shirts on, some guys with no shoes. They left all of our DNA inside. From sneakers, beverages, because you gotta remember they inside this locked business. So it's humid, it's the summertime, it's humid, they hot inside there, they drinking beverages, leaving their DNA everywhere. We're in our 20s. I was in my 20s at this time. So, mind you, the male frontal lobe hadn't developed at that time. We was doing some foolish shit. They left their DNA inside. The guy that was thirsty to leave the car with me and ran in, left my DNA inside. That night was the last night that I got an ATM with these guys. Due to the griminess and some guys wanting to sneak thief from one of my guys. They were willing to break me off, equal shares, but they didn't want to break my guy off that I sent in there with them. See, I wasn't willing to go in there with them, but I made sure I sent somebody in there to keep an eye to make sure that they wasn't stashing. So that night, they wanted to cut my man out of some of the cash, and I wasn't having it. I let them know that we all did this now. Shit got crazy. I thought I might have had to do something to these guys. But in the end, they eventually split everything up evenly. And that's the last night that I got an ATM with these guys. A year later, I'm back, doing my thing. 24 hours in the spot. And police is going to an old apartment that I was renting. And they bust in the door looking for me. An old neighbor called me and notified me that the police was looking for me. I went on a run. And I went into hiding with people that I thought I could depend on in a time like this. So not only did I learn that me cutting corners, thinking that I could be, you know, like a third party in this type shit. I'm the getaway driver. How will I ever get caught? I'm not going in there. I'm not climbing in and out of no ceiling. I don't got to disable no alarms. I'm not leaving no fingerprints, nothing. But I never thought about DNA from those rags that I gave this guy to cover his hands. So I'm on a run. And when you're on a run, you'll get to see who really got your back. Where I was staying, they let me know that they didn't feel comfortable with me staying there. That they thought that due to me staying there, that they would probably lose their kids. So I left. Went back to my apartment where the police eventually started knocking at the door. Now this whole time, once I knew the police was looking for me, I contacted my lawyer. He told me to lay low because it was the weekend, and that on Monday he would turn me in and we could see what this was all about. I knew that they wanted me for something because they was damaging people's property to get me. So I knew that I had to go in with my lawyer. Me and my lawyer go in, they arrest me. They let me know that they have my DNA from the crime scene. Mind you, I never went in any of these places, yet they still had my DNA. So back to what I was saying with cutting corners, you know, with that stinking thinking that just because you the getaway driver, that you won't be held accountable for your actions. And look how the universe, karma, God, whatever we want to put on this situation, look how it worked. To where even me being the getaway driver, thinking that I would never be held accountable for this money, and I was. So I eventually was going back and forth to court, and my lawyer let me know, hey, listen, I could take your money, but they got DNA, and it's hard to fight DNA. They got your DNA inside the establishment. So I ended up copping out. My first offer was a 3-9. My attorney declined that. They came back with an offer that I could live with, 2 to 4 years. I also had, within the time of me being out on bail, I caught a direct sale. That case was in Brooklyn. This case was in Queens. They ran both cases concurrent. So I say to you, my peoples, even if we don't go in, some way, somehow, it comes back on us and we're held accountable. It's not worth it. I'm Sean Devine. Like, comment, subscribe if you appreciate the content. Salute.
This man bought this old ATM machine that no one wanted anymore without knowing how much money was inside. He asked his friends for help because he had no idea how to open an ATM. They started by using a steel blade to cut the combination lock, but they were having more difficulties than they expected. When they tried to cut it again, the door opened, but they didn't know how they did it.
How did that happen?
Then they just had to open the safe to get the money out. But what they didn't know was that this would be the hardest part. Now, this guy started drilling the lock, but he was a newbie, so his friend finished his job, but the box still didn't open. Then one of them discovered that the back of the safe was made of plastic, and he hammered it until it broke. And they finally saw that there was money inside. They were super happy, but they still had a problem. How were they going to open the safe? So they decided to use the steel blade again to cut the safe in half. And now, my friend, they managed to open it. When they finally counted the money bill by bill, there were 99 $20 notes, which is $1,980 more than you earn in a month, bro.
SS and Co TV.
SS and Co TV, the channel for your eyes and your ears.